So guys, it's Jay from the Modern Minuteman, and I'm here with my friend Tom, the Prepared Pathfinder, and we were invited to come out to SERE Challenge this year by Randall from Gruntproof, and we were the the team leaders for our respective teams. Tom was the team leader for the OPFOR, and I was chosen as the team leader for the BLUFOR. So we had an interesting few days out here in the hills, I'd say,
We
right?
did. It was a challenging couple of days, yeah.
For sure, absolutely. We I think one of the hardest things that it has rained nonstop almost for 2 straight days here.
And it's still raining.
And it's still raining.
It's only raining.
One day, it started raining, and it didn't quit for 4 months.
It's still raining.
There were times, guys, and like no joke, we've 5+ inches of rain we've probably gotten over the last 2 days.
Yeah, it was pretty heavy yesterday and last night as well. Yep.
So we had some challenges that we may not have expected for the challenge, but that made it even more of a challenge. And so I don't know, how do we want to start? You want to talk about how you were set up for OPFOR and how you guys treated? Well, maybe we should do this first. First, we should probably start with what the premise of this year's SERE challenge was.
Yeah, cool. So the whole scenario was based around a down pilot. And the idea was it was like a Vietnam kind of scenario where an aircraft would be shot down, the pilot has had to eject and parachute down, but he's in enemy territory. So then you've got a small team of special forces going to rescue the pilot. But in the meantime, the enemy have found out, or they know because they've shot the pilot down, they've shot the aircraft down, they know that there's enemy in the area, so they're out looking for him too. So that's the scenario.
So we were split up into, we had the OPFOR, who was the bad guys, right? They were like a rogue MACV-SOG unit who were out in the mountains, and BLUFOR was originally tasked to recon where they were thought to be, and our pilot was trying to take pictures of their supposed camp, right? So the way we went into it was BLUFOR, which was myself and Paul, we were dropped off at a predetermined location, and the only thing we were told to do was we were given a map, we were given some possible enemy camp positions that were drawn on a map from recon from the pilot. And we were told that, possible camp here, but maybe here and here, but we're not sure about those. So we were tasked to kind of go in and recon that, but within 3 hours of starting our infill, we were alerted via the radio that our pilot had been shot down. So now it went into a search and rescue mission.
Yeah, so we dropped off an assembly area. And the way we was organised is we had 6 kind of main force troops. So, for example, North Vietnamese Army in the case of the Vietnam War. And then we had 11 militia guys. So these would be local force VC kind of guys. So these are people that, that they're armed, they've got equipment, but they're not potentially very well trained kind of guys. And that actually turned out to be quite accurate, to be fair. And I won't go too much into that, but they certainly weren't like working with the military,
There's stories to tell for sure.
Yeah, so the way I broke it down is because I had 6 guys on the OPFOR, is I had 3 of us working as a HQ element. So there's myself, there was my second in command, and then had 1 guy as a support guy. So I didn't want to be cutting around the woods as just 2 people. I thought if there's at least 3 of us, then we've got a fighting chance if we come under contact, if we find ourselves on our own. So then we had 3 other guys, and what I did is I broke down the militia troops into 3 teams, and then we had 1 OPFOR as an advisor with each team and a kind of team leader and communication with me. So the militia had communications between themselves and between their own teams, and then what I had is I had communication between our command team and the advisors with each militia team too.
So because we were such a small element, we were literally only a 2-man team. We had radio communication with Randall and Randall only, and that was incredibly limited. And just like from the get-go, Randall even said, he's like, I'm not going to try to radio you unless there's something, something severe or some sort of emergency. But other than that, like you guys are on your own. And I may do a supply drop off to you, but that's only if you ask for it. Like only if you ask for a water drop off or whatever, because it's normally this is an incredibly dry area where you're lucky to find any water.
Yep.
Where we ended up being able to fill everyone's canteens within a matter of 10 minutes from all the rain that we were experiencing. But so like on our side, like, versus them for how organized theirs were, BLUFOR was very we were very much on our own out in it, and it was completely up to us. What area are we going to start exploring? How are we going to do it? Where are we going to set up at? All that kind of stuff. Then once we did have we had a radio frequency set up ahead of time for our downed pilots. So this way we could talk to each other. And we were able, once we got the radio call, we had been in for about 3 hours. And then Randall announced over the entire net for everybody that the pilot was down. So that instantly our mission for BLUFOR became find that pilot. So he was told that he needed to move to a very specific spot on a high point, and then he could radio us to be able to transmit his coordinates. And from that, once we got his coordinates, we were able to then formulate a plan between him and between the two of us as to how we were going to meet up. Because now we had to meet up and then get him to an extraction point for the extraction point. And as you can see with the terrain behind us here, we had to find an area that was suitable for a helicopter to land in for the actual extraction, which it is not an easy feat in this area, especially when you have a team of, how many guys were you guys total?
17.
So 17 guys out on 3,500 acres.
Yeah, it was a big area.
To be able to try to evade them during that whole time, that was no small chore for sure. And we risked not only are we looking for this pilot, but we also risked, if we got captured, we would have to endure a phase of interrogation and with these guys, ridicule. That
that's all part of interrogation.
It's all part of interrogation. Yeah. We would have to endure that. But if the pilot got captured, game was over. We lost. If both me and my teammate Paul, if both of us got captured, game over. We lost. But as long as one of us was still around with the pilot, we were still in game and everything was still game on. So once we were able to make contact with the pilot, we planned a rendezvous point, and then Paul and I found a real suitable area where we were able to get really well hidden and watch where we wanted the pilot to come through at. So we kind of met in the middle a little bit, and it worked out. It was like clockwork. So within under 24 hours, we had rescued the pilot. Which after the event we found out right, Paul helped. After this, the guys are all making fun of us over there. After that happened, and we found out after the event that OPFOR was a little pissed off that we had gotten a hold of him so quickly. So we got lucky. I'm not gonna say we were good. We were just lucky that it worked out the way it did.
Yeah. So from our point of view, then we deployed out on the ground. We got to an area where I decided we was going to set up a patrol base because we was all carrying rucksacks with a lot of gear in for up to 4 days. So what we did is we went off the trail, dumped our rucksacks, and then moved on foot to the area. Basically, we was given a rough grid of where these guys may be. They said there was an intelligence update to say there may be some guys moving around in this area. So we moved into that area. I then split our teams down into 3 fighting teams. They went and searched areas, and as it turns out, the grids we were given weren't accurate. So you can only go off the intelligence you've got. As mentioned there by Jay, it was a massive area. It was a very, very big area. And also, it was a lot thicker than what you see behind us. The area was mainly very, very well vegetated, very thick.
And to give you an example of how thick it was, when we were inserted, our 2-man team, it took us, the manzanitas are so thick that it took us about 2 hours to move half a mile through it.
Yeah.
And it's exhausting. There's points where we were on our hands and knees, crawling, pushing. You ever see cavers where they're pushing their ruck in front of them, going through tight crawl spaces inside the caves? Like there's spots in the manzanitas where that's how you're having to do it. or you're sliding on your butt, or you're shimmying through. It's no easy feat. And then to be able to stay on whatever heading you're on is even harder. It's so, and there's a lot of times, and I'm sure you can attest to this, your route and where you decide to set up camps or patrol bases or observation posts or whatever it may be, terrain dictates a lot of it. It really does. And you may only go in half a mile and you're like, it's taking you half a day to get there, and you're like, well, this is as good as it's going to get. Let's make the best of it.
Yeah. So we broke out into those 3 teams, and I detailed each team to search an area. Like I say, we was given a potential area where these guys might have been, but it was false information. It was basically getting us to move around the area based on false info. But what I did is I got the team leaders to each identify any areas they saw that could be potential pickup points, because basically they were given a set of criteria for a helicopter landing site.
Was it 75 feet by 75 feet with no vegetation higher than 3 feet? So you had to have a room suitable for a chopper to land is what we were looking for.
So as the guys are patrolling through the area, I got them to identify any potential HLSs, and that was going to be a note for later on if we needed to kind of overwatch those areas in case these guys are going to move into it. So we searched the initial areas that we thought, well, that the info was given about, and then I actually got in touch with the patrol commanders and I asked them to push out into other areas to do searches. Now, this is where we started encountering some of our issues, because the militia that we were working with were not easy to work with, and that is realistic, to be fair. I've been to Afghanistan and Iraq, and working with local forces is actually not easy, and they will quite often just say no and just flat refuse.
Would you experience?
Yeah, and that's what happened to us on that first evening. I actually asked one of the teams to push up to a certain area, and they said, no, we're not doing it. We're fucked from moving through, rough areas and stuff. And the sad thing is, from my point of view at least, is the area I just kind of scanned off the map and assessed to be a potential area was accurate.
Yes, so, which was funny. So the area that we hunkered down in, so we were comparing notes on our maps when we all got back, and we were looking at it, and I pointed to the spot where we stayed the first night, and your eyes just went wide right away. You were like, are you shitting me? Like, really? That's where you're at? You were like, that's... And then
that's the area I detailed one of my patrols to go and search, and they just said no, because they're tired. And we'd only been on the ground a couple of hours, so I wasn't too impressed with that, I've got to say. And there's nothing you can do about that. If they say no, they say no, And
then our second night where we holed up at, that was another night that you were like, hey, I think they might be here now. Because obviously you're not... Once you stay overnight in an area, you don't want to stay overnight in that area again. You need to move.
Yeah.
So it's a very temporary thing. So we moved to our second position, and once again, showing him on the map, and he's like, son of a bitch. Like that. Yeah. Like they knew it, but we also, from listening and watching, and because it's not like we just set up somewhere and we took a nap. We were actively setting up overwatches to be able to watch our position, to be able to see what kind of traffic was coming in on the dirt road that paralleled where we were at, what kind of traffic there was on the foot trails, on the hillsides, what sounds we could hear, all that. So we were always out in different areas trying to in a defensive posture more than anything else. And we kept waiting and listening, and we never saw signs of anybody. We never heard anything, except at one point we heard what sounded like somebody pounding in tent stakes. And we heard it from over a hill, and it was one of the militia guys who was pounding in tent stakes.
So it was frustrating, because we had a really good team of guys that were acting professionally and as if they were soldiers. Light discipline, noise discipline, all that kind of thing. And then on the other side, we had the militia that were literally just, it's like they was on a fucking boys outing, and they were hammering pegs in with, I don't know whether it was a lump hammer or something. They were talking loudly, they had head torches on, they were doing lots of stuff, noise, and there's only so much you can do, because these are their own entity, these guys. I'm not, even though I was over in charge of the operation, I can only instill so much things before you end up getting friction, and these guys just weren't listening to what I was saying, and it ended up being very frustrating, because I'm used to people from a military background or military operation and unit doing as they're supposed to do, and these guys were just couldn't give a flying fuck. And they basically was giving away the game to these guys by moving
Yeah.
noisily and not really using very good discipline.
And we were paying attention to that. Like we were looking like that's the kind of stuff we were waiting for to listen to give us an idea. When we had gotten to our pilot and ready for extraction, we had a certain radio frequency we had to call in on and radio that we had and then await extraction orders. And when we called it in, it was just absolutely pouring rain. Like, I mean, just pouring.
So it smashed it down really heavy on the second day, and on that second evening, so we was out for 3 days, or 2.5 days.
2.5 days.
But the second evening, it heavily rained as well, really heavy rain.
It was literally like in the movie Forrest Gump when he's in Vietnam, and
so
they're
we
like, and it
quoted that
started
as well. Yeah, big old fat rain.
It was like just rain like no other. And so we were told to hold tight, that the helicopter couldn't fly in this weather, and that they would let us know when a weather window opened to resume the extraction.
Yeah.
And we waited,
Yeah.
and we waited, and we waited, and then it got dark.
Yeah.
And then it waited. But in the middle of that time, and these are things that just happen during any kind of training exercise, my partner had gotten really wet with all of his layers, and really was had to make a decision as to what on his own behalf. And you know what? Never knock anybody who decides that they may drop out or tap out on an event like this, because unless you're here enduring those elements, you like mad respect for coming out here and partaking in it, because it is not easy at all.
Yeah,
I mean, it is not easy.
It was genuinely tough conditions out there. We're up in the mountains here. It was cold, and it was hammering down the rain
and wind.
And all of us were exposed to those elements for a good couple of days. And the fact is it's easy to sit and criticise when you're sat at home in your living room, drinking coffee, and you're warm. But when you're out here, it's very, very different. And sadly, one of these guys decided it wasn't for him.
Yeah.
His kit was, soaked through, and he decided on safety reasons I need to tap out. So that's what happened there.
Yeah, and then so we radioed Randall. We had an emergency frequency that if there was any kind of an emergency whatsoever, that's what we were supposed to use. So we radioed it in. Randall put out a bulletin to everybody that we had somebody tapping out, and that basically for everyone to stand down until he was extracted. So we were given a set of coordinates, we were given a grid coordinate for getting him to, in order for them to come down and meet. And keep in mind, like, it's like light is fading. It was getting dark, and we had to hike out for about 20 minutes down a road and drop him off. And Randall came and picked him up. And once he was out of the area, it was announced on the radio that all parties, game is back on, and that's it.
Yeah.
And me and the pilot, we worked our way back to our spots, and we did it. By then it was essentially dark. So we quietly made it all the way back and hunkered. By this point, it was about 6 p.m. and the rain was not letting up. So we knew, like, at that point we had decided for ourselves, like, nobody, like, OPFOR is not actively looking for us right now. So we decided, we're like, you know what, let's get under our shelter, which was in a very well hidden spot, but because it was so well hidden, it wasn't the most comfortable of spots. But we just crawled into our bivy sacks and put dry clothing on and just waited it out. That's all we could do. I mean, we were waiting for the call on the radio to be able to extract, but it never came.
So for us at this time, we'd gone back to our patrol base, because literally been sat in heavy
and
rain.
You had people dropping out.
Yeah, so what happened is we went back to our patrol base to get basically a bit of rest, get some dry kit on, get some food, and the plan was to go back out and look for these guys. But in the meantime, the militia, again, just decided to up sticks and bugger off. Now, they had vehicles that they drove into the area that was about a K away or so, like that. And quite a few of the guys had said that their sleep systems were compromised. In other words, when they left the patrol base, they'd left their sleeping bags out without packing them away.
Remember, we're not camping.
Yeah,
we're not camping, guys.
Their bashers weren't good enough to protect their sleeping kit from the elements, and their sleeping kit had got wet, right? So my command team, we were all good to go. but the rest of the teams basically just decided to up sticks, all of them, and there are only 8 of them left at this stage, by the way, because some of them have gone home. They've gone home early, and they just went back to the vehicles and slept overnight. And like I say, there's only so much you can do. They've got their own commanders, and they decided we're doing this.
Right.
So it's not like the army where I can say, hey, get a grip, come back in now. Right. I'm in charge, but kind of not in charge at the same time. So it's a difficult position to be in. So we had no capability whatsoever at that point to then go and look for these guys. And in the meantime,
it brought you to a standstill.
It did. It brought us to a standstill. And then, so I thought, okay, so what we're going to have to do is just reset in the morning and go for it again. But then in the meantime, in the middle of the night, I think it was 1 o'clock in the morning, exercise control called a stop to the whole thing because the weather got so bad that he was worried about the extraction of people from the area because all the roads were getting washed. It's all mud roads around here on the mountains.
Yeah.
And he was worried that if someone did become, say, a hypothermic casualty,
true emergency,
like this, that they wouldn't have been able to extract him very quickly. It would have taken hours. So at that stage, the whole thing got called off and stopped. And we basically, in the morning, first thing in the morning, we packed all the kit up and left and joined the guys that gone back to their vehicle, which was very, very frustrating. But c'est la vie, nobody was actually a casualty. So
right, which is good.
That,
So while they were radioed that they were gonna, everything was game over, stopping, we're gonna call it. My pilot and I, we did not get that message, so we were sound asleep. And like really, we just knew because of the weather. We were like, there is no way these guys are actively looking for us. So we took the risk to go to sleep. So we were in our shelter starting at 6 p.m. and at 6 a.m. we were called on the radio telling us what had happened and what we were doing, and that essentially it was a draw. Like nobody won, nobody lost. It just we had a good time out in the field with each other.
Yeah, and to be honest, it was a good experience because you get to experience a new environment in testing weather. It was challenging weather, to be fair. Pretty cold, very, very wet, and if nothing else, it just tests your own skills and your own equipment.
A lot of up here too, mental fortitude. Like, how are you going to deal with that situation? How are you going to deal with being uncomfortable, being wet, being cold, being hungry, being tired? How are you going to deal with those things? And that's like with SERE Challenge, it's almost more of that than anything else, especially this season. Because, Mother Nature threw what she had at us, and it was definitely a test of that as to how you were going to deal with that kind of adversity. And it was rough. It was good. Yeah.
And unfortunately, we never got to the actual interrogation phase, which is probably just as well for you.
I saw. So we're back here at Randall's place, and we're these guys, Tom and Ben, are showing us videos of what they planned on to do, and it's hilarious. You guys know we all get along with each other, like we're all friends. But at the end of the day, when you're on a field training exercise and there is a goal, there's no holds.
No.
Barred, that's for sure.
We had a whole load of fun stuff planned for Jay and the other guys, but unfortunately we didn't get to do that. So.
But it's funny. So these guys are out already, and me and the pilot were up at 3 a.m. planning what extraction points we're going to use, how we're going to get to a landing zone without being discovered by the OPFOR, and they're already out.
Oh yeah.
So it's funny how that works, but we were so deep asleep that they said they called the radio. We might have accidentally bumped the radios in the middle of the night and turned the volume down on it because you don't want the volume too high, and somebody radios you and alerts everyone.
Yeah, not when you're trying to sleep, hey?
Yeah, I know. I don't want to be woken up. Don't wake my ass up. So, but anyways, but it was all good. Cool. A great group of guys. It was great to finally meet Tom.
Yeah, great meeting you too. Yeah.
It was this is a long time coming for the two of us to be together and do something like this together. So it was good. Yeah.
It was a good experience, hey?
Absolutely, 100%. I'd do it again in a heartbeat.
Cool. So
even in this rain.
Next year, buddy.
Right?
Cool.
We'll be on the same team next year.
Yeah. Cool.
Right on.
Cheers.
All right. So thank guys as always. Thanks for watching. Appreciate you. If you guys don't follow Tom, please go over to his YouTube channel. It's a Prepared Pathfinder. awesome guy. It's how we connected. We started chit-chatting with each other and realized that we had a lot of similar backgrounds with just the outdoors.
Yeah.
And yeah, so a good friendship to start off on.
And same with Jay for the Modern Minuteman channel.
So
check him out if you haven't done already. Lots of great content. Cool. So,
that's it.
As
All
always,
right.
stay prepared.
Cheers, my friend.
Cheers. Cool.
Right on.